In these YouTube videos, we often talk about being in survival mode. We hear the words, but often we don't really see ourselves in survival mode. We only realize what it really meant for us after we've left the relationship. And then we really see how serious and detrimental that this was in our lives regarding our state of mind, our health, and the outcomes of these experiences, from not only the impact of the relationship itself, but all other areas of our lives, our friendships, our careers, our family, our purpose in life. I mean, our reason for being doesn't even exist anymore. Everything is tied up to the needs and wants of the narcissist and your survival in providing these needs. They need your money, so you give and go without. They need supply and yell at you, so you try to do something nice to calm them down. They blame you for things, and you try to become a better person. Any of this sounding familiar? Today, I decided to do a video on this because I remember back when I was in survival mode, how I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. I just figured out I'm strong. I can take this. No one can take this. I knew I was miserable. I knew that this wasn't right. I knew he was a jerk, but somehow I just made it from one day to another dealing with what was in front of me. That right there is survival mode. And I didn't see it because I was asleep. And I'll talk about that in a bit. That's important. But in this, I wasn't living my life. I was living a life, but it wasn't mine. I was living his life. And if you're sitting here watching this video, I can only assume that that is you too. This is a death, a complete stop to living. Your whole life has come to a halt. Let's take a look at some examples here. Walking on eggshells is one. A victim learns not to laugh too loudly or express joy at home because it makes the narcissist irritated and it triggers an outburst in them. Constant justification. The victim explains and over-explains their every action, hoping to avoid accusations of wrongdoing. I wasn't ignoring your call. I was in the shower. See, I even have the water running time on my phone. Or, I didn't invite so-and-so, they just showed up. Look, see, they texted me after to say that they were sorry that they just barged in. Suppressing needs. When you stay silent about your desires to avoid being labeled selfish or mocked or yelled at, you are in survival mode. It's okay, I didn't really need a birthday celebration anyway. Minimizing harm. Rationalizing the abuse as not that bad to maintain emotional survival. At least they don't hit me. Other people have it worse. At least they aren't in bars drinking at night. That's survival mode. You aren't okay with what they're doing, but you rationalize the behavior like they had a horrible childhood. What about you? Does that mean that you have to take the brunt of it? I mean, I guess that would make it okay for all of us then to go off on people and be mean, since we too had traumas growing up, but we don't, because we believe it isn't right or acceptable. We still have values. So why is it acceptable from them? Food for thought. That's more values to look at. Another form of survival is seeking validation. Because you were never really acknowledged in childhood as a fully functional human, you attracted another that treats you in like manner because understandably, you're still trying to fix it. And also because that's what you now believe that you deserve on a subconscious level, of course. And so we as victims compulsively seek the narcissist's approval to avoid criticism or rejection. We are trying to survive in our world. And it isn't just to avoid criticism. It's also to be seen. Acknowledgement is a fundamental need for all human beings. The only difference is in a person that was treated with respect growing up will respect self in childhood and will not put up with a relationship that isn't validating. But we weren't allotted that respect, so we chase it, even though they treat us badly. We're going to prove that we're lovable and worthy once and for all. Survival. I'm going to clean his office so that he'll be pleased. Where really, it's so that they can validate me. Or I'm going to top up the oil in her vehicle and fill up her tank so that she sees how wonderful of a person I am. And she'll say thank you. We think we're being nice, and we are, of course. It's our nature. But the line is drawn in how we ignore being nice to our own selves here. We're not protecting us. We're nice to them, but we're not nice to us. We're not caring for us. And if we ourselves aren't caring for self, why would anybody else? Like attracts like, right? The beginning to any wanted result always starts here. Victims in survival mode don't see this, and one of the reasons is cognitive dissonance. Victims experience conflicting realities, cognitive dissonance due to intermittent reinforcement. The narcissist might present moments of kindness, affection, or charm alongside manipulation and abuse. You never know, is it Jerry or is it Hyde? The mind struggles to reconcile these opposites, often leaning toward denial or rationalization to reduce the discomfort or the inconsistency, because sometimes it seems too scary, too painful. Example, a victim might think they're only mean because they're stressed. Deep down, they're a good person. And you think that because you yourself think everybody is a good person because you are a good person. Now, I mentioned earlier that I didn't see that I was in survival mode because I was asleep. When people are in survival mode in narcissistic relationships, they often become unaware of their predicament. This sleep state is a form of psychological self-preservation where the mind numbs itself to the full reality of the abuse. Again, see, that's survival. The victims are so focused on moment-to-moment survival that they lose perspective on the bigger picture. Bigger picture being that this is your future if you don't get out, where these constant moment to moment of trying to survive the next chaotic issue makes it difficult to recognize the toxic dynamic that they're trapped in. There's no space for them to process anything. They're just trying to deal with one issue after another. When you're in a relationship with narcissists, that's all you can do. They're always doing something chaotic. Survival mode is a state of heightened alertness and stress where the body and mind focus solely on short-term survival. It's a coping mechanism triggered by prolonged exposure to fear, instability, or emotional manipulation, hallmarks of narcissistic abuse. In this state, victims prioritize avoiding harm, pleasing the abuser, and maintaining a semblance of peace, and I quote again, semblance, at the expense of their own well-being. In narcissistic abuse experiences, the nervous system more often than not becomes stuck in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And this chronic state of stress keeps the body producing cortisol and adrenaline designed for immediate survival rather than long-term health or thriving. And over time, this impacts their emotional regulation, decision-making, and overall mental and physical health. And here's some examples of the victim's behavior in survival mode. They are hypervigilant. Victims are constantly on edge, monitoring the narcissist's moods, tone, and behaviors to anticipate the next attack. It's some serious stuff here, folks. Example of that would be a victim learns to recognize subtle cues like a shift in tone or a slight facial expression indicating that the narcissist is upset. So they'll change their behavior preemptively to avoid conflict. Then we have the people pleasing. That's the fawn response. Victims may go out of their way to appease the abuser, even sacrificing their needs and desires to keep the peace. Example, canceling personal plans or agreeing to something that they dislike because they fear the narcissist's anger or silent treatment. And that keeping things bottled up inside is survival mode, which is what we call emotional numbing. To cope with constant criticism or invalidation, victims will suppress their emotions or detach from reality, like Netflix, binge watching, stuff like that, or housework or work. They feel like they're going through the motions of life, unable to connect with their joy or sorrow because they're too consumed by survival. And that's what I mean when I say that victims are busy bees, always doing. It's not only a way to feel accomplished and worthy, it has numbing effects like a drug. Being busy helps us feel better because if we were to just sit in the silence, you can bet that stuff would come up. Another form of survival behaviors is indecisiveness and overthinking. Victims struggle to make decisions fearing backlash or criticism. And an example of that would be spending hours debating whether to buy a certain gift, unsure if it will be deemed good enough by the narcissist or if the next meal you're going to make is going to be good enough for them. Or trying desperately to write an email that would get them to understand something that you need understood. And you keep rereading your email over and over again and retweaking it. But it goes deeper than that. Decisions to leave become paralyzing. You can have so much cognitive dissonance that you ask your friends how they would respond if their partner did such and such. You're really asking permission to move forward because you're filled with guilt, for example. You're so confused, the cognitive dissonance is heavy. Or you need permission to move forward because you no longer believe that you can anymore. You no longer believe in you. I won't be able to make the money, even though you did well before they came around. Or you'll spend the rest of your life alone because no one will want you. It is heavy, heavy, heavy programming. It's so heavy that even though the abuser will do something as grave as threatening the victim's life, where the victim will turn to the friend asking how they would respond. A healthy person does not need to ask anyone's opinion. With them, that's all I need to know. They aren't experiencing cognitive dissonance, self-blame, and guilt. Narcissists often gaslight their victims, causing them to take responsibility for every problem in the relationship. And an example of that is if the narcissist yells, the victim believes, I must have provoked them somehow. Or the narcissist could project anger and blame on the victim for feeling upset and bottling things up inside because she or he is afraid to speak, and then tell them that they're being passive aggressive for not confronting issues where they know full well what that'll cost them. But regardless, the victim takes that into consideration and decides to try to be more open, where again, they'll pay for it. Chronic stress leads to physical ailments like headaches, fatigue, digestive issues, or a weakened immune system. This is your life here. A victim frequently gets sick but brushes it off, thinking that they don't have the luxury to rest. Then there's isolation. Narcissists often control their victims by cutting off support systems. In survival mode, victims may withdraw further to avoid angering the abuser. For example, a victim will stop talking to family members and friends because they know that the narcissist is going to accuse them of disloyalty. And as much as they'd really love to hang out with their friends or family, they deny it to themselves in assuring that they won't get in trouble. That is survival. Another one is compromising boundaries. In survival mode, victims feel unable to enforce personal boundaries because of fear of retaliation. The boundaries aren't just about being faithful or name-calling here either. Allowing the narcissist to invade their privacy or dictate how they should spend their time or how they should dress or wear their hair to avoid conflict, including the smallest things like doing something for themselves in their own home. Your whole life is being destroyed. Everything's being taken away from you. And we only get one to experience in this body anyway. Survival mode is not sustainable. Over time, it'll lead to burnout, depression, anxiety, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Victims lose their sense of identity, becoming so consumed with the abuser's needs that they forget who they are outside of the relationship. They'll meet up with friends if they do, and they'll always talk about their partner in conversations. They always bring up their partner. Survival mode is a testament to the victim's resilience, but also a signal that they've been enduring too much for too long. Recognizing and addressing it is the first step toward reclaiming peace, health, and a sense of self. So let's see if we can address this here. Let's get right to it and find our core beliefs and then values while we're at it. So step one is to find out what you believe at your core. A lot of times we try to change our lives with positive affirmations and it doesn't work. We hear of manifestation all over the place now and we want in. We try to manifest a perfect relationship or money, but what's not working in this is that we are coming to it from the space of fear, which is survival again, which is normal in your case, right? In order to bypass that, we first have to change our core beliefs and use affirmations for that before anything else. So what you need to do is get to the core of your belief system and reprogram that. And then things will begin to shift. But we have to do the work. We have to put in the time, not just pondering on the idea. We don't just indulge in a day here and there. We commit to the work, and the work can be 3 minutes, 5-6 times a day, or 2-3 times a day for 20 minutes. So if anyone's ready, here goes. Sit down. Breathe a few breaths. Get in focus with paper and pen in hand. Next, connect with self and ask, what really do you believe of yourself? Do you believe that the world isn't safe? That you aren't safe? Do you believe that no one cares? Do you believe that you aren't supported? I mean, no wonder your desires are not coming to fruition. You don't believe that the universe will support you. Do you believe that you aren't capable or that the world believes that you don't matter? Now, I'm just going through some common beliefs here, so add your beliefs, and to show you, I'll demonstrate the affirming words using these beliefs to reprogram the subconscious mind. So with eyes closed, perhaps beautiful music, something relaxing, Reiki music or something, and you would breathe in the statement, I am safe. And then take a moment to feel that. I am safe. You might want to repeat that a couple of times. I am secure. I am okay. And I am capable. And here you might want to repeat the same set again in your mind's eye, of course, whatever works for you. These are examples. I am supported. Life supports me. The universe supports me. I am loved. And just keep going with these new beliefs to override the ones that you've held on to all of these years. You're changing the frequencies when you do that. But only if you say it with heart, of course. You have to feel the love within when you say the words. And if you find yourself smiling, you're there. If you just repeat, I'm safe, that's not going to work. You have to feel it. So once the frequencies have changed, aka once the program has stuck, in my experience, the best results that I've seen with clients is 3 weeks, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. But once this change takes place, magic happens all on its own. You attract situations where the universe supports you. If we only knew the power that we hold within, me included at times, because I tend to forget sometimes. And doing these affirmations in this way is a form of hypnosis. Hypnosis has had such a bad rap with all the entertainment stuff that people are afraid to be controlled. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You are in full control when you're under hypnosis. It's because you want to do those things on stage, those that go up. This eyes closed in a relaxed state and breathing in affirmative words is hypnosis. You're in full control of what software that you want to put in. So take advantage of it. It's free. I became a hypnotherapist years ago when I wanted to leave my husband. My hypnotherapist at the time, later teacher, told me to just lie down for 20 minutes a day, 3 times a day for a few weeks, and things would naturally take place. So what happened to me is I just changed. It felt like it just came out of the blue. I was no longer wanting him to suddenly change. I was no longer afraid to leave. And although he had no idea that I had been seeing a therapist nor wanting a divorce, he himself started to change towards me. We're all readers of energy. He could feel something. Anyway, he suddenly became a more considerate human being until I did leave, where that consideration kind of went out the window. But regardless, at that time, he wanted to talk about issues and resolve and take me to dinners and all the other stuff that good husbands do. For me, it was already too late, and I did walk. I walked because I actually valued myself a few steps more. When I say a few steps more, is I still had more steps to do. Life wasn't finished with me yet. But my point in all is that this is when we change, people around us change, circumstances change, and life becomes that much sweeter. So that sums it up. Start right away if you can, but do start when you really do have space for yourself. That is doing it lovingly, and that will move you forward. So I hope that it's helped some. And also, if this work has helped in any way, please do consider subscribing, because I'm trying to get this new channel going here. So thank you. And on that note, be well, be safe, and intend to heal. Bye for now.